What's up, everybody? Another episode of the Thought Process Podcast, Ether podcast by the Thought Process Podcast family. What's going on, Greg?
Hello, hello.
Well,
Stumbling with words already.
yeah, man, we're starting off with this weird energy here, man. Today's topic, guys, is being under pressure. I'm sure it's something that everybody can relate to. I've had to go through it multiple times. And every time I try to learn from each experience and, it'll help me. I take those experiences, put them in my tool belt so that I can bring out those tools the next time I'm put in similar circumstances. Um, I don't know, man. I think we should just get into it. I think this one's going to be pretty good. Um, I mean, obviously, Greg, you've been put under pressure. Uh, I'm sure by a lot of things. Fatherhood might have been one. For me, it was being in a new country. So I'll give you a little bit of uh, so I'll give you guys an explanation of how I went through a change, a big change actually, from coming from Mexico to the U.S. and not speaking a single word of English. Actually, that's a lie. On the way here, I had to memorize who this person was, who I was, who was I coming as. Like I had to be this person so I can cross the border. Like I literally had to memorize a biography of a kid who was born here. I had to know their names, the parents' names. I had to know the siblings, the school friends, what school I went to, how old I was. I mean, dude, I was 6 years old.
And none of these people you actually knew.
No, I had no idea who these people were.
So who was your best friend?
Dude, I can't remember now, dude. Fuck, dude. It's in a file somewhere back there. Like I'm sure if I go and do one of those regressive, what do they call it? Regressive therapies.
Yeah.
I probably may be able to get it, but I don't know. I might have to do some DMT or something like that to get that back.
I really hope it was a ridiculous name like Bend Over or something like
No, dude, it was a real name of a person. Actually, if I knew, I would look them up today. If I knew who it was. Unfortunately, dude, I don't remember. It's been over 23 years now. 24 years, dude. It's been 24 years. And basically, so in order for me to come over here, right, I had to come with this family. And these people, they actually had a son who was my age.
Okay.
The son, he was born here. He had friends. He had this. He had that. He was going to elementary school, whatever. And I had to become this person. So there you have me. One night before I come over here studying. And I couldn't study because my sister and I were separated. So I was upset. I was crying the whole time. I just wanted to be with my family.
Yeah.
And I'm at this freaking Motel Super 8 in TJ. And I'm by myself. These people, I didn't personally know them. It was like people, friends of friends.
Okay.
But, they were trustworthy. And basically, they came. We were at the hotel the whole night. They gave me a piece of paper, like a journal sized piece of paper. And I had to remember who I was going to say I was when we crossed.
Okay.
Well, guess what? It's that same night. We're crossing in the morning at 5 in the morning. We drive over. It was about like maybe like a 40-minute drive, 30-minute drive. We get to the checkpoint or to the border, and I'm asleep. I just fell asleep.
Okay.
So they didn't check me. But once we crossed the border, We went to their home in the U.S. here in the U.S. And dude, shit, dude. One of so the husband's mom passes away
Like
in
while you're
Mexico.
there?
Yeah, while we just crossed in Mexico.
Okay.
So the guy drives back with me.
What the hell?
Yeah, because we were only like 20 minutes from the border. So we drive all the way back outside, back out to Mexico, and I'm out there for another week because they have to do a funeral, they have to do all this shit, right?
Okay.
I mean, dude, it was crazy. I didn't know how I did it, dude. I
So
to be honest, I don't know how I folded. Like,
so this guy who didn't know you, his mom died, so he's like, "All right, you're coming with me."
yeah, like
And
he
just
told my mom, like, hey, my mom just passed away. You know, I have to go do the funeral arrangements. I can't bring him up to where you are, and sorry, he has to come with me. I have to go right now, and that was that. I was out there for a week. I don't know what to do, but you know what?
So
I
did you go to the funeral?
yeah, I went through a funeral. I did like you know I spent time with their actual son, who I was pretending to be. But they, you know, I got really lucky. The family was really really nice and very trustworthy, and I just got lucky, man. Like who knows what could have happened.
So in that week time period, you hung out with yourself,
Dude, I hung out with my doppelganger. Um, Luckily, there was no singularity event.
or there was. It's kind of like that one movie that came out recently, where the girl goes into the clown maze, and then like she comes out. I forget. It's the one with the scissors. I forget the name of it, where the people are holding hands across the world.
Um, Across the world.
Yeah, and
What
they're like
kind of movies are you watching, dude?
repeats of someone. So the little girl went into this like clown place and she saw herself, but like an evil version of herself, and she ran out. But later in the movie, we find out that the evil one actually was the one who ran out, and the evil one trapped her down in the clown maze underground. It just came out by I think what's his name, Jordan Peele, is it?
I haven't
No,
seen that movie.
we saw it together. I
What?
can't remember the name of the movie,
I don't think I saw it with you.
but maybe you are the other kid. Maybe you
The evil.
are.
Oh, you're talking about Us?
Yeah, that's
The
it.
movie Us?
Yeah, maybe you are the son, and they mixed you up and sent you here.
No, because I
And
would have
and
remembered.
and you
I
are.
clearly remember having memories in Mexico. Like,
So does that kid.
no way, dude. Well, the point is that over the expanse, yeah, I guess it was like about the extent of 2 weeks. Um, I just kept it cool. Like I talked to my mom every day, and I just kept it cool. Like I don't know, dude. I don't know how I did it. Like thinking back, no kid should be put in those circumstances, but I got out of it, and it was just interesting. But that was the beginning of my experience here. That's
Hmm.
how I was introduced to this place, and then I had to go to school where I had no idea. I had no, I had no idea of what English was. I had no, I don't know. Everybody spoke English in my school. Like
Hmm.
there was a little bit of maybe a couple kids who spoke Spanish, broken Spanish at that. I didn't understand the teachers. I didn't understand my classmates. I didn't understand anybody. So school was shitty, dude.
Yeah.
All through high school, dude, it was fucking crazy. It was
Huh.
like whatever. Like I always had a hard time connecting with people here, but I made it through elementary, barely, probably. Same thing with middle school, and the same thing with high school until I was able to until I grew up and basically I started getting out in the workforce, and that's where I really started learning the skills, the skill sets that I need for life.
Okay. Uh,
That's fucking crazy.
yeah. The the whole taste. Did you know that you had come come over
Yeah, no,
before you went back?
yeah, I knew. I was like, oh wow, we're only away from my mom. Like we were gonna have sleep here. We're gonna drive up, and then I'm gonna see my mom. Like I was aware, dude. I wasn't like, you know how like some kids just go through life
Yeah.
and everything works out for them. Like I don't know how that happens, but for me, it was not that.
So,
It was scary because I remember talking to a girl I liked in Mexico, and I said, almost in a braggy way, I said, "I'm leaving to the U.S." And the day after that was when I came over here. So we
okay.
we drove maybe we took a bus. It must have been like a 10-hour ride, 8-hour ride to TJ. Then from there we had a hotel, a motel, the shittiest motel on earth, dude. But it was whatever. We kept it safe. Then
Better or worse than the hotel we got in San Francisco?
holy shit, 100 times better, dude. That hotel in San Francisco was, I mean, might as well just give us a tent, like outside in the hood, dude. Like that might have been better than that hotel.
Stains on the sheets, hair on the sheets, cockroaches under
It
the bed.
it was crazy. We don't know. We didn't know if, I mean, that's probably where COVID originated from. um, yeah, dude, it was insane. Like just not knowing anybody. Now it kind of, I guess it did affect me, but it didn't. I stumbled away. Like I started failing forward. Like it
Okay.
wasn't like a, you know, it wasn't like a fast progression. It was like, okay, well, I'm learning English and I can now communicate with classmates. And then one thing I remember just thinking about that first day in school, when I came into that class and my mom was left, I was like, holy shit, what am I doing here? I don't know these people. Like, what is this? You're in uniform. The smells are weird. I smell lead in everything. Like in my journal, my backpack smelled like oil. You know, you remember like those cheap
Yeah.
backpacks from like Walmart
No,
back in the day?
I never had those.
What did you have? A Jansport?
I don't know. Just a simple backpack.
Okay, so but
Nothing
I had like
special.
a Godzilla backpack that had like all of the plastic in the world, right? That's when we didn't give a fuck, right? We
An
just,
oil painting backpack. Oil painted backpack.
yeah, it was just, you know how they had like very heavy plastic backpacks back then?
Yeah.
They were almost like rough and they
Yeah.
had like shapes and shit. That's what it was. So yeah, all those smells were weird. Like I wasn't used to that.
Hmm.
I came from like Mexico. Everything's almost natural.
Hmm.
And just sitting down and bawling my eyes out. I just put my head down and I was fucking crying. And I remember this girl. She's like, "Hey, it's okay." Everybody, and the kids were like, "Oh, look at him, he's crying, he's crying." And then she defended me. She's like, "Don't pay," like in English. She said it in English. She said, "Don't pay attention to them. They all cried on their first day." And then I was like, I mean, I was still crying. I didn't understand her. Now in hindsight, I understand what she said that day,
Yeah.
and it was just fucking crazy. But like I don't know. I could have just not gone to school. I just wouldn't go to school, right?
Hmm.
But I didn't fold,
Mm.
so I just fucking I just ate the shit, dude. Whatever.
I don't even remember going to school really. I just was
See,
used to
you're
it.
one of
I
those
remember.
kids who just grew up and you're fine. like
I
like
was in what is it?
motherfucker, dude.
I went to preschool, and I remember preschool was fun, and that's about it. Like I don't remember ever having a problem with it. I'm sure I probably cried every so often because I didn't want to go to school and I wanted to stay home or something. But I don't remember
It was. I don't.
anything difficult like
I
that.
don't remember a lot. I just remember that day because I remember clear as day. Um, I remember having this bully at school who would
Hmm.
kick the shit out of my shins, and I didn't know what to do. Like I would go to the teacher and like just point and just fucking point at the dude and fucking curse him in Spanish, right? And the teacher's like, "Oh," but they wouldn't
Chingao.
fucking do shit, dude. I was like, "Oh, mother, my fucking chin."
My chin. No, your chin is up here.
My chin. Yeah, dude, it was
Well, maybe they
fucked.
just didn't understand you, so they couldn't help you.
Dude, eventually, dude. Um, I mean, I don't know, dude. That was elementary school for me. That shit was fucking tough. That shit was tough, dude. I'm over here. I'm like, but you know what? Right now, I'm thankful for that because I learned so much shit out of in a very short time being here that
Uh-huh.
it made me adapt to new things like quickly. Yeah, you know, some people will like they've never traveled before, right?
Hmm.
And then for whatever reason, their work sends them to New York and they
Yeah.
live in Orange County. When they go on a plane, first of all, they're freaking out.
Hmm.
They're freaking out in like on the plane, right? Um, and then when they land, it's a culture shock. Like, yeah, it's a city, but not it's not Orange County city. It's like it's New York. Like there's sirens all like 24 hours a day. There's just people, just millions of people just
Yeah.
commuting. Traffic is crazy. Like, what do they do? Like, oh, I need to get to this, to this meeting. You have to get a taxi. You can't rent a car. Like,
Riding
it's
a
just a,
peddler.
it's just a. I mean, now, but before, like in the '80s, you didn't have none of that. It was just very different, and so I'm sure some people have lost their jobs that way. They didn't make the meeting. They like. I'll tell you a story. Um, how can I phrase it? Because, well, okay, I knew of this person who went to Hawaii with
Okay.
with her friends, who then immediately upon arriving, she wanted to come back because she started being homesick and she couldn't take the pressure of being away from family.
Okay.
So she literally got on a plane back, left her friends there, lost all that money, and just because she couldn't go through the experience, she was
Hmm.
too afraid. She might have been sheltered, and there's a lot of people like that.
Or she just didn't want to be there.
No, man, I know it was that because I know the story. I can't share the person's name, but
Okay.
yeah.
Well, the earliest story I can remember where I had some kind of pressure was so at school, um you have to like memorize speeches and then do it in front of the class. This one was a little bit different. It was you had to not only memorize a speech but choose someone from history and write a speech about them
Mm-hmm.
that explained like who they were, and it had to be I can't remember how long, but it was it was long enough to where it was like a speech. So
Yeah,
like it was a good
it was a
like
paragraph.
no. This was like a good like 4 paragraphs, maybe
In
4 or
what
5
grade?
paragraphs
What
in
grade was
fifth
this?
grade.
What the?
But it was not just this, okay? So you had to do that, but you also had to dress up like this person, and you had to go stand. They called it a wax museum, and you had to go stand in this little area, and you have a red dot in front of you. And anytime someone came up and stepped on the red dot, you had to do the speech
Over and over again.
over and over. It was a whole day. And it's not just for your class, it was for the entire school. So the first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, the rest of the fifth grade classes, and the kindergarteners all came through, and you had to do it for everyone.
Who were you impersonating?
Charles Lindbergh. He
The
was
fuck is that,
he was
man?
the first guy to fly over the Pacific Ocean,
Okay.
or was it Atlantic Ocean?
The Pacific Ocean.
I think it was the Atlantic Ocean.
It must have been the Atlantic. Is the Pacific?
And the
Ocean
only
was
thing I
huge
can
back then.
really remember about it is that he actually had fallen asleep at one point and he started nosediving, and he had woken up just in time to be able to
Get the shit
to
out of
level
here,
out.
dude.
Yeah. That's really kind of the only thing I remember about the speech. But the pressure of remembering the speech, the pressure of doing it in front of every different class, in front of all these people you don't know, in front of people you do know, your teacher coming around and watching and making sure you do it, like you couldn't BS it, because the whole time was part of your grade, so you would get graded off
Right,
of, like,
right.
not just knowing it for one speech and then saying you're not going to do it again. And the pressure of remembering that, because I think you had to do it 2 times in a week. So it was like 2 full days of doing it. And I was just like, I can't remember the speech. I don't remember my words.
Are you broke?
No, I didn't break. There was this, you were allowed to, like, you couldn't have the whole speech written down, but you could have like a little, what are they called? Like,
Flashcards?
You can have one flashcard
Mm-hmm.
with just like certain
bullet points. So you remember the
so you
sentence.
can remember the, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, school was always tough, dude. But now as an adult, okay, what's something that had really put you under pressure? Would you say fatherhood did that to you, or do you feel like I don't know? Was it your first time?
You know,
what was worse?
I think
going on a date.
Becoming an actual dad was easier, because I still to this day don't think I've actually really been on. No, sorry, I did. I finally have been on one actual real date.
On one?
I've only ever been on one real date, and it didn't go anywhere. Like, it was just that date, and then that was it. So, like, the person I have my son with, we were together for 4 years, and once you're with someone, I don't consider it like a date. Like, if I take you out for dinner, it's no longer like a date. It's like we're going out to dinner.
Yeah, but it's
like, people call it that, but I don't think it's the same concept.
The date is basically setting a time away, or setting like a scheduled time to do a certain activity. Like, that's what I consider.
We'll go to bed at night. That's the date. Setting time away to
do
something.
Are you? I mean, did you do that? Or were you like, hey, Friday night? Friday night we're gonna go to bed early. Oh, really? A whole 10 minutes early, and we won't. And then, you know what? Saturday morning we'll sleep in. I mean, if that's your kind of date, dude, it happens. But that's what a date is. Like, I go all the time. We went to a speakeasy. Okay. I don't know if it was an anniversary thing, but we just went to like a speakeasy, and the whole experience was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like, for me to just call that a dinner, it doesn't do it it doesn't do it justice.
See, I don't know how to consider all that, because it's like, if you and I go out to eat somewhere, that's not a date.
No,
but if you and someone else go out to the same exact dinner, do the same exact thing, it's a date.
It could be a date. All right, it could be a date. You want to freaking.
But going back to the pressure thing, I didn't really feel any pressure becoming a father, because she had previously had a son, and I had raised him for 2 years before having my son. So it wasn't really like, I don't know, I didn't have any like, oh my goodness, I gotta do this or do that.
Yeah, you were kind of used to it, right?
Yeah. At a certain point, though, with that, we were trying to get one of us to be able to stay home more, one of us to work more. And so I had to take on a job that was, well, previously I was working like 25 hours ish a week, and then I had to take this job that was 50 hours a week. So I was doubling the amount of time I was working per week.
Yeah.
And that's when I started feeling a different type of pressure of I need to go and do this work, but by me going and do this work, I'm losing all the time that I had to spend with the family. And so every day I left, I was like, God damn it. I got to do this. And I got to do that. And I can't do that without doing this. And I don't know. That's why I hate work.
Wow, that was
Forget work pressure.
that was a lot. That was a long story for that. You could have just said you just hate work. Um, okay, what about work do you hate? Like, is it because you just don't like what you do, or was it because, um, I mean, you were in charge? That must be some pressure, right? Like, you had the owner basically saying, "Hey, you need to run the operations. You need to make sure everything goes smoothly. I'm expecting a high return at the end of the month."
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's big pressure right there.
it's, I don't know. I never really felt like it was pressure because as long as you're doing the, the, the right thing and doing everything that you know that you can possibly do, and if you don't, on the other end, you don't perform,
Hmm.
and they come to you say, oh, you weren't performing, and you ask for like a mentorship or like, hey, what are some ways that I can improve?
Yeah.
And if they don't give you anything, and you keep trying different stuff and nothing's working, then I didn't find problem with if they want to get rid of me or or anything, because I was putting in the effort, and not every time you put in an effort you get rewarded. So I was never really worried about it because I always tried to take the correct steps in improving.
Yeah. Maybe you haven't challenged yourself enough. So I'll give you an example, okay? Recently, shit just started getting real. I mean, I've been talking about this startup for a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, things just started getting real. We got real leads, we have real prospective clients calling in, and basically, it's up to me to run the operations of this thing. Um, it's a three-man team, uh, but that's for what we do. That's really small. I don't really have oh, I'm gonna push this to the side. Like, I won't do this today. I'll do that. Like, I don't have that. Um, I don't have that luxury.
Okay.
Like, I have to. If I get somebody messaging, I have to talk to them,
Yeah.
and they're asking me questions, and most of it I know, but some of them, the clients will eventually start being a little bit more high level,
Mm-hmm.
which is, they're more spot on. You can't beat around the bush. They're looking for specific information, and I'm supposed to be the specialist in that.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's where, like, oh, I have to get this shit down. Like, I have to, like, I was here, but now I have to go here.
Okay.
That's now.
Yeah.
And it's a new venture for me. It's not it's not something I mean, I've been doing it for a while, but not at this level. Like, it was peanuts what I was doing before. Now now it's real. Now
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel it.
Yeah, but it's still the kind of the same concept as just putting your best effort into it and trying to learn and accepting, like, if someone told you that, um I don't know, like a lot of what you're doing is making, um uh making, what's the word, not friendships, but making connections.
Yeah,
So
networking.
if yeah, networking. And so if you talk to someone and then they come up to you and say, hey, I didn't like the way you were talking to me, you take that and be like, oh, I apologize, I didn't mean it this way, and you know not to talk that way again to the next person.
Yeah.
And as long as you reciprocate back information in the correct way, then you will progress regardless of anything,
Yeah.
because you're not it's the people who take everything as an attack and can't return with acceptance of being able to change something. And
Yeah. Well,
that's why I didn't care where I was working, in that sense of getting responsibility. Because at first, when I started as a server in a restaurant, and then I became a general manager. Most people don't go from server to general manager. So what happened is I went from asking the manager, can I do this? Can I do that? Um, can you okay my coupons?
yeah.
What are we doing to me having to answer everyone's question, and making schedules and doing all of that from one day to the next day. And I didn't feel pressure. I just understood that at that time, now I have to give an answer.
Yeah.
Something
But
has
now,
to come
see,
out.
that's interesting that you say that, because now what you're getting into is how you responded to it. There was pressure,
Hmm.
100%,
Sure.
because from one day you're going through, well, this person yells at me, I just get my manager. You have that, you can relay that energy, you can deviate the energy to another person.
Hmm.
Now you're the manager,
Yeah.
you're now the person in charge. You don't have that scapegoat. You
Hmm.
have to go deal with that person.
Yeah.
And there was pressure, but you might have learned quickly. um Also, you're a very logical person, where I could picture you saying, well, I can't do anything about it, like that's our policy, take it or leave it.
Hmm.
And very like black and white, right?
Yeah.
Some people don't know how to deal with that, and that's why they can't get those types of jobs. Management, dude, management is probably one of the most underrated careers out there in terms of work, the amount of work, like there, for management. If it's a firm, if it's a medical office, if it's a warehouse, it doesn't matter. Like, you're getting gray hair, because you're constantly being the person who's trying to resolve all the issues.
Hmm.
And this, particularly in like a restaurant, how many people call out in a restaurant? Oh, I'm not feeling well, I'm not going to go today. Call out.
Yeah.
Now you're not just the manager, but you're also now the host, the takeout guy, and you're doing the what is it called when you're cleaning up?
Busing.
The busser. Like, but how many people can do that? Not many people, especially people who have connections, and they know how to run a restaurant, but they never did the work.
Hmm.
You put that guy in that, like a cheesecake factory, or like a, what's like one of the most difficult restaurants to work at,
I mean,
like
in,
Javier's or
in in
whatever.
difficult, it would be like fine dining,
So
just
you
because you have to
imagine
do
like a
specific
fine dining
things.
where most of your people are millennials and Gen Z, and most of them, it's 4th of July, it's the day after 4th of July, or let's say 4th of July was Saturday, it's Sunday. Everybody who was supposed to open, gone, called out. What do you do? First, you're going to try with some people, right? Hey, are you guys available? No? Okay. Well, what do? You have to do it yourself.
Hmm.
And if you're one of those people that didn't put in the work to get to that position, that's what's going to make you or break you,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you can see those types of examples everywhere. Eh, Every industry, dude, but managing, I think it's heavily underrated. Like, they don't get, like, managers don't get the the recognition. And in
I
some, I understand because politics, right? Like politics in a restaurant could be tough. Also, it's a position of power, so a lot of people abuse it.
yeah,
But when you get a good manager who means well, but just keeps getting the short end of the stick every single time,
yeah.
it's hard not to feel for those people, man.
Hmm.
You know, it's I don't know. I think dealing with people is probably the hardest thing besides open heart surgery, of course. Dealing with people is probably the hardest thing to do, in my
I
opinion. Like the service industry is probably the hardest thing to do because there's not a lot of money in it.
Well, it's just about finding a solution, really, and
Yeah,
it's
but
it,
how do
it
you solve? Okay, like
but that's the
uh,
point, though. Is sometimes it's not about solving. It's about just saying, hey, what you want, we don't do. So sorry. What else can I do for you? It's as simple as
customers
that.
always right.
The customer is not always right, and that's not a real thing. And if you think that way, then you're going to fail every time.
Well, in a lot of places, the customer's always right. I'll
Mm.
tell you this why. I'll tell you this. Okay.
I don't think I've ever once heard that in an actual
Okay.
training or anything.
You've been to one restaurant. You worked at one place.
No, we've
You
trained
gotta
in we
work in
trained in
Home
multiple
Depot, dude.
places.
Home Depot. At Home Depot. Well, before I get there, I have this saying. Um, and I don't know. I don't know if I don't think it came from me originally. I think it came from I don't know where I read it or something. But the more I see smart cars on the road, the more this makes it real. Smart cars don't make dumb people smart.
Yeah,
It's just a dumb person driving a smart car.
yeah,
And so, when it comes to well, what was the quote that I said? Customers always right.
yeah.
Home Depot, okay, in the break room where I used to work, which by the way, that place was under pressure because I was night crew.
Uh huh.
We had 5 people to stock the entire store at night,
Yeah,
basically breaking down pallets, putting them where they're supposed to go, and getting the store ready for tomorrow morning.
yeah.
Right, 5 people, and this place was doing a ka-ching, bro, ka-ching amount of money.
Right.
It was insane. Well, the break room, it was very famous because we had a tire. We had a tire that a customer returned 10 years ago, 20 years ago now.
Uh huh.
When the fuck does Home Depot sell tires? Never. But you know what happened? They returned them the tire. They gave him money. The guy has been at Home Depot for the rest of his life. So you can think about it, you can think about that phrase in two different ways. Customer's always right. No, you're wrong if you think the customer's always right. Like I understand there's people like that they're pulling your leg. Like there's some times where that person, you're not gonna do shit for that person. Like
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. What? We're at an ice cream shop. You wanna what? Like you want pizza? Like sorry, we don't do that. Like I get that when it's like blatantly stupid, right? But then there are other people that just because the guy, dude, he probably had Alzheimer's, like serious shit,
Uh
and
huh.
he thought that he bought a tire there, and he didn't want it after it was used. He said, "I'm gonna return it to Home Depot, get my money back." He goes to Home Depot, returns the tire, gets his money back.
Yeah.
But then he became a client for life. So, what do you do in that situation?
So I highly doubt that they actually gave him money.
Dude, I'm
I
telling
what
you
I
because it was a famous story. It
famous stories aren't
it
always
came
true.
from the GM.
So
It came from the two GMs there. I always like I don't know. It was like a meeting, like one of those what do they call it? Like the inventory meetings. We're sitting there and they're like, hey,
okay, so I can give another example based
okay,
off the restaurant. So so we have I don't know what service it was. I'm just gonna throw one out. Uber Eats, okay? So we have an online order of Uber Eats. You can order our food and we send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a phone call one night. This lady's all mad. Oh, you gave me the wrong food. You gave me um, uh, majority of what was in it we had. So she's like, oh, you gave me barbecue chicken and ribs. I ordered the
Oysters.
no, I ordered the T-bone steak and ribs and potato salad. And I was like, okay, so if you had ordered the T-bone steak and potato salad, either you didn't order from us or they have something on the website that we do not and have never sold. So in my head, I was like, okay, well, we don't actually. I've worked here for 10 years. We've never had a T-bone steak and we never had potato salad. So I'm not quite sure what we can do for you. I can get another order ready, and if you'd like to pick it up, you can do that, and we can get a refund on Uber. But we are a restaurant. We don't have employees to just send out. And come to find out, she didn't even order from us. It's a completely different restaurant.
Okay.
And she ended up actually still coming in to get that meal. And I gave it to her for free. And it had absolutely nothing to do with us. So you can fix things without necessarily giving back money or saying that they're correct.
But
And
did that
that's
meal
why-
cost you?
The meal costs, yes, but not the equivalent of the money
Okay.
to return.
Yeah, but
And
at
then-
the end of the day,
And then
she
you're
got
not
her way,
giving
right?
back to people who are trying to actually just
Yeah.
abuse.
Of course. But at the end of the day, you still got you made her day. She got what she wanted,
Yeah,
which was the meal.
but she also knew that she wasn't right.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, she still got what she wanted,
But it
whether
kinda
she was
does,
right or
'cause-
not.
Because if you just consistently do that, your business is dead. Because then you're just giving things away
Right.
for
I'm
free.
not saying obviously, right?
Yeah.
There's exceptions, but I'm not saying that that was the case. What I'm saying is that if you have that mentality of pleasing your customers, no matter what and how ridiculous the their needs are, then more than likely you're doing a better job than most people.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people out there who, I'm telling you, they just deny it. They say, oh no, like, oh well, sorry, like this is what we do, and that's it.
I think I started actually enjoying the pressure of like when I started serving. Because at first, every day I walked in, I was like super scared of like what was gonna happen. I was always super
You had
nervous.
anxious. You were
I
anxious.
was like, we always have to roll up the silverware before the shift. You have to do 30 minutes or this many wraps.
Uh-huh.
I always just went until they told me I had to start taking tables. I was just like, I don't want to do it. And then eventually I started noticing that.
But okay, so
that-
let's analyze that a little bit. Why didn't you want to do it?
Because at the start, I still to this day don't like people
Yeah. Okay. So that
So-
it puts you under pressure to do to
to communicate.
communicate with people.
Yeah. But then over time, understanding that if you just do the job right, people tend to say thank you or
Give you a
tend
tip.
to be fine
Give you a
and,
tip.
and don't need to talk to you. So I just started doing everything and just asking if people were like doing all right and what people needed. And then it wasn't as much of a communication as it was just you knew what they needed. They knew to ask you for what they wanted. And that was the communication wall.
Yeah.
I didn't need to get into, you like the
Oh,
Suns,
dude,
you
there-
like the Lakers.
Dude,
like,
there's
I
some
don't
people
have-
out there, huh?
Yeah,
When you're
you
serving, they start talking to you, and you're like, "Bro, I'm not interested. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even like sports."
Yeah.
And you have to come up with, "Oh yeah, no, I didn't watch it, but I heard the Lakers, And it's
So but then it evolved a little further to where I actually started enjoying the tables who were the problem tables.
yeah.
The people who were causing the most stress and the most problem and the most pressure on you.
So
because-
how did you go from that to that, like overnight, or did it take? Was it over time?
It was
How did you overcome that?
the reason I overcame it was because I started understanding that it was the same way as getting that understanding of just having the communication of what you want and what I want. But the people who are having more problems, or like their food came out wrong, or any of that, it was just them communicating that they wanted something specific, but they were upset because it didn't come out the first time.
Right.
So if you can ignore the pressure of them being upset at that moment and you fix it, it almost on the other end, as long as you got them what they wanted and you took care of them and you did the right thing, that on the other end, they would be happier than they would have been if you got it correct the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, because
But most of these other people would fall to the pressure of being, oh, they're all mad now. Forget these people. Every time they're just like, you're all right, like giving attitude back almost.
yeah.
And then it just escalates even worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I started doing that, and I was making more money from tables. I got pissed off, and for a moment I was almost like, I should start pissing off tables more, and then just just correcting the problem because I'll make more money.
yeah.
But I never did that because it didn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's funny. But see, that's a good example of that.
So it's once you can finally understand where the communication of the pressure is in any circumstance, is when the pressure doesn't become as big of an issue.
Well, communication's a big part, but also their pressure is sometimes it comes in different ways.
Yeah, so the different languages of the pressure.
Well,
so
yeah,
sometimes
but
you don't need to speak anything. You just need to be able to understand. It's like you have a window of doing a project and you know you can do it, but when you only have 10 minutes left, you're like, oh, I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time, even though you're already ready and you're done.
yeah.
So sometimes it's just, like I said, like learning the language of the pressure.
Learning the language of the pressure. Okay. Well, sometimes it's emotional pressure. Sometimes it's mental pressure, like a acute mental pressure where it's coming from a specific. It's like a specific issue that you need to address.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't that aware, dude. Like, to think most people react to things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, okay, I'll get like let's take AMC and GameStop for an example.
Okay.
Holy shit! I mean, diamonds in the rough, right? All these people were holding on for dear life to their life savings for such a long time that they said, you know what? It's David versus Goliath. Like, it's us versus them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the big guy has always been doing this to us. It's time that we band together and we say no. And it paid off for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a very once in a lifetime kind of thing. Like, you wouldn't really understand that pressure if you weren't investing, or like if you weren't invested into those two stocks, right? You kind of like look at it from the outside and be like, well, like, I understand what's going on here, but once you're actually in it, things are different because now your mortgage is on the line, your wife's boyfriend's money, like, he's gonna get pissed at you, dude. Like, you're gonna be sleeping in the doghouse for the next month, right? You're not gonna your rent money, um, things start taking a turn. But also, it's okay. So let's put that one aside for now.
Okay.
Sometimes people aren't aware of where things go wrong.
Right.
Like, have you noticed that when there's like a stunt person, or like a stunt double, or a daredevil, Evil Knievel, like whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are always after the next challenge. And it has to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Because for them, there's no way out. Like, you need to go until you die, basically. Like, that's it. Other people have never experienced such pressure. And I think most kids nowadays have not experienced it. That's why we have so much discourse on social media, where we have like the boomers, I mean, and then the millennials, and then Generation Z, and now X. Like there's a huge difference in all of them.
See, I hate the terms like that because growing up, I swear we never talked about that kind of things, and now we're just separating and putting pressure on the different uh,
Well,
times of
dude,
people were born. Like,
we have to recognize that we're not like our parents.
no, but we
Our
didn't have
parents
to
are
give ourselves
boomers.
a name and be like,
I know, but they we give those names because they did think differently. Like you take a man who was born during the Second World War, or
mm,
even before. They went to war, they survived war, and then they came back home, started a business, had a family business, and now you're here. Like you're the son, you're the grandson.
yeah,
Your life was much significant or significantly easier than theirs was, right? We will not, we will never understand the hardship those people went through because we're already in a much better place now.
I don't know.
So in a sense, it made it easier for us. Like
I feel
back
like there's
then,
just as many people doing the same thing. It just isn't us. Like there were people who just as easily didn't go to war that had no effects on them in that sense.
what do you mean?
Like if you stayed here during the war, it would you would have had no effect other than, oh, this they could be coming here. Like you were just living
No,
your
I'm just
normal life
no,
here.
yeah. I'm just giving you an example. I mean, you didn't have to go to war. You could have been the okay, Henry Ford.
Mhm.
Henry Ford, dude, he spent his whole life just to create a concept that people look down upon. Like, oh, horse and carriage. Why do we need anything else? What do you mean steam engine? Like, what are you talking about,
Yeah.
dude? The guy, look at his legacy.
Hmm.
But do you think his kids are gonna be under the same sort of? I mean, corporate pressure, or whatever. The name and living in a shadow probably sucks. But I'm just saying, like the difference between how those people grew up and how we grew up is way different, and we have it so much easier now than they did because we have a choice as to what we do every day. I have a choice to be on this podcast.
Okay.
I'm not worried about, well, if this country attacks, there's going to be a draft. Like we're not really worried about that right now. Like we're not in that.
Oh, I'm worried about it.
Yeah, but it's not. It's very unlikely. Like whereas before,
So it's a
we
virus.
were always on brink of. I mean, we've always had disease. It's just been
Okay.
different.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, dude. I think that like the moral of the story here is how we always encounter something.
Hmm.
It's always you're always the knight in shining armor, and there's always a dragon. And sometimes, in order for you to get the girl, you have to go through the dragon. And sometimes the dragon is not just a dragon; it's a hydra, and it's gonna keep growing heads and heads and heads. And you're gonna be cutting off heads forever. Like,
Or if you're lucky, the dragon's a nice lady and you marry her just like Donkey did. And Shrek just walked right in
dude,
and took the girl.
no, dude, it's. I mean, he took him for the team. Literally took him for the team.
Yeah.
Because we don't even know how that works. But yeah, dude, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, what once you're stuck in a situation and your fight or flight senses turn on and
Hmm.
you don't know what to do, stop and think. Yeah, I can run, or you can suck it up and be a little courageous, and maybe that courage will take you that much further down. Like how people say, when you fail, try to fail forward. Like even though you didn't move today
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna fall face, flat on the ground, at least do it forward, not backwards.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's just the way I've been thinking about things lately. Like I don't know. It's a little difficult because we have to get into a lot of personal stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
maybe we're not ready to share at the moment. But you know, it's what are you gonna do? Like now we're here, and to live in this society, you need to at least be a competent person, and actually you don't. But if you want to reach certain goals, you're gonna have to you're gonna make yourself be a competent person. If that's whether it's in a career, if it's in a amongst your peers, like who wants to like hang out with someone who I don't know, like is just pulling you back? Not a lot of people,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Like if they're constantly pulling you back, like oh man, this person's on drugs, like crazy drugs, and you're always the go-to guy, and whatever it may be, and it's like that takes a toll,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. So
So I mean, life is crazy, dude. I mean, coming from Mexico, man, to to let's see what's going on here. To here, who in the F
what
is
in the
Peter Parker doing here?
we will ban that fool.
Boom. And just like that,
Another one.
like Daniel
That
said.
Thanos
What
said.
what did he say when he before he snapped?
You should have aimed for the head.
No, be the other one. Where he says oh, we need balance in the universe, and I am inevitable, and he just
I'm inevitable.
snap. Yeah, man. See, we don't need that type of energy. Like out.
Oh, and he's back. What the heck?
Finally we get some
That's got to be a bot. An error occurred.
dude, maybe. Anyway,
We do
so
not condone Peter Parker.
no. I'm not even worried about it, dude. It's whatever. Um, the difference between here and Mexico. I mean, dude, right now Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and not just Mexico, dude, but all of the Latin America, all of Southern America, dude. There's so much craziness going on, like Cuba. That's crazy. That people are flying the U.S. flag down there protesting. They're protesting about the dictatorship,
Yeah.
and we're tired of this. Overthrow the dictator. Um, you know, f communism.
Yeah.
Now that takes balls because over there they ain't playing by the rules.
No.
Imagine, dude, like you have kids, you have a family. What are you gonna do? Whatever it takes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or what are they gonna do? Are they gonna march forward, or are they gonna fold? What's gonna happen if they fold? Another 100 years before another uprising. I mean, that's fucking crazy.
Yep.
If you really think about it.
That's why there's different forms of pressure and how you react to them.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, dude. I don't know. Shit's crazy. If you guys are just tuning into this podcast, feel free to call in right now. We still have the line open for you guys. You guys can call in at 657-223-5323 and share your experience with us. Have you been put into a situation where you had to run or fight? The fight or flight senses kicked in. What did you do? How did you overcome the anxiety or the pressure that you were under? You just fought through it. Do you discipline yourself and you know what, dude? Greg, that's why people who do sports. Okay, I was just
Mm-hmm.
listening to this. I forget who it was. Basically, like if you take a look at like The Rock,
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, Kevin Hart, all these people that are top tier actors, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't just they're not just good actors. They're in the gym, dude. Like, have you know how intense how intense Tom Cruise is? The guy is crazy, dude.
Intense or crazy?
No, he's intense. Like he's a crazy intense person,
Mm-hmm.
but does his own stunts. The guy is 60 years old. That's fucking crazy.
Like Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan, dude. I mean, how do you even do that?
You, you'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's the discipline. Like that's why a lot of people put themselves through rigorous um exercise day in day out, because then once you feel the you're about to die feeling when you're squatting for 20 reps, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're like put down the bar, and everything seems a little woozy, and you're dizzy, and you feel like there's no oxygen going to your brain.
Yeah.
When you come out of that, on the other side, you go to work and sit in a cubicle, and somebody yells at you, you're like, nah, whatever, dude. That's
I'm
nothing,
too
dude.
sorry to care.
Yeah, that's nothing.
This ain't the pressure I was looking for.
Yeah, yeah, that's nothing, right?
Yeah. Why did you
Wow.
put that on there?
All
We did
right,
not condone that. That was an accident.
whoever this guy was, he's gonna get blocked. I was trying to remove him. Oh man, what's going on here, Greg? What do you think is going on here?
I think it's just because we're not directly on there.
Okay.
It says to refresh the page, but that will change the stream.
All right. Well, things are taking a turn for the worse. Moral of the story: be courageous.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick, and don't fall under pressure. Um, you know, I mean, I give it to the haters, dude. Right? What are we gonna do?
Hey.
Yeah, Buck Nasty over here, trying to kill the vibe, but that's what happens. Like that, you're gonna get those people in your day in everyday life. You're always gonna get those negative Nancy's. It's okay. We're gonna move on. Now, don't acknowledge it. Keep your own energy going, and share your story with us. Send us a message on all of our social media. If you've already been following us, you already know where it is. If you don't, we'll put it in the link um, for now, and just to avoid all of our social media pages to get dumped on by this guy. Um, but that's it, man. Do you have anything else, Greg?
Nope. Pressure's
No,
on.
no calls today. It means that we're doing something wrong. We need to regroup, and maybe next week we get at least 5-10 callers.
Or maybe these people just have too much pressure and they didn't think they could call. We're okay.
Classic.
We're okay. Don't be
All
scared
right,
of
guys.
us.
Hey, thank you guys for joining us on today's stream. We will see you guys next week.
See you guys later.